This is a Squiz Kids podcast. Your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you.
It's been dressed up as science. It can get worse when people are worried. And despite the way humans have divided ourselves throughout history, genetically, we're all remarkably similar. This is your Squiz Kids shortcut to understanding racism, the podcast where we dive into the who, what, where, when, why and how of the world around us. I'm Christy Kijarena.
And I'm Bryce Corbett.
Hey, morning Bryce. What are you doing?
I'm sorting, Christy.
I can see that, but why have you got piles of jelly beans all over your desk?
Aha, well, you see, I've developed a system.
Interesting, tell me.
Red ones here, green ones there, yellow, orange, speckled ones here.
Right.
Then I've got the good ones.
The good ones?
Yep, and over there are the ones that I don't trust.
Bryce, they're jelly beans.
Exactly, and now I know which ones are which.
But you haven't even tried them yet.
No, well, I don't need to. Look at that one.
What about it?
I don't know, it's suspicious.
Bryce, it's purple.
Exactly.
Oh, Bryce, you have sorted a whole bag of jelly beans into groups and then decided what they're like based almost entirely just on how they look.
I suppose when you say it like that, it does sound a little bit silly.
And that is the perfect place to start because humans love putting things into groups. And throughout history, and even now, some humans have sorted other humans into groups based on things like skin colour, ancestry, or where they come from. And then, based on those things, decided that they know what the people in those groups are like.
Today, Christy, we'll find out what racism actually is, why our brains are so quick to sort people into groups, and how fear and difficult times have helped racist ideas grow and spread. Plus, what each of us can actually do to interrupt those ideas. So, grab your jelly beans, hold off on judging the purple ones, and let's dive in.
And listen carefully, there's a quiz at the end.
What?
Okay, Bryce, before you eat all of our evidence, let's start with a pretty important question. What exactly is racism?
Well, Christy, I think most people imagine the really obvious stuff. Someone shouting a racist insult, saying one group of people is better than another, refusing to let somebody do something because of the colour of their skin.
And all those things absolutely can be racism. At its heart, racism is about judging or treating people differently because of their race, their skin colour, their ancestry, or their ethnic background.
But racism doesn't always arrive shouting.
Exactly. Sometimes it can be much quieter.
Moving to the other side of the bus, for example, because of an assumption you've made about the person sitting near you. Not choosing someone for your group because you think that their English might not be very good.
Or even assuming the Asian kid in your class must be brilliant at maths.
Well, hang on. Some people might say that being brilliant at maths is a compliment. Being good at maths, after all, is a good thing.
Sure, but you've still looked at one part of that person and decided that you know something else about them. Maybe they're hopeless at maths, or maybe they are brilliant at maths, but that's because they're them, not because every person you've put in that same racial box must be exactly the same.
You might hear people call things like racist jokes, comments, or everyday assumptions something called casual racism. Although Australia's Human Rights Commission makes a very good point. There is nothing casual about racism ever.
Exactly. Because small things, well, they can add up. One joke, one assumption, one person moving away from you, one person deciding that you probably won't fit in.
And the person doing one of those things might think, what's the big deal? But they might not see all the other times that it's happened to that person. But Christy, we keep using the word race. What actually is a race?
Oh, that's an excellent question, Bryce. Race is a way humans have grouped people together, usually based on things like, as we said, skin colour, facial features, or family ancestry.
So basically differences that we can see.
Often, yes. But humans also have an enormous amount in common.
That's true. We all need food and water. We all sleep. We all laugh. We all cry. We all get embarrassed.
Our hearts pump blood around our bodies. Our lungs, they take in oxygen. We all have the same basic bones, organs, body systems.
We even pull surprisingly similar faces when we bite into a sour lemon.
Oh, we do. And when scientists look even closer, like right down inside our cells at our DNA, the similarities become even more remarkable. DNA is an instruction code inside almost every cell in your body, and at the level of its individual chemical code, two humans are commonly described as being about 99.9% the same, no matter how different they might appear on the outside.
99.9%?
Which means the things humans have sometimes used to divide people into big racial boxes are only a tiny part of the whole human picture.
And the thing is, those small differences between humans aren't bad either. Variation is part of what makes every person unique. Different hair, different eyes, different bodies, and of course our genes are only part of the story. Where we grow up, the people around us, and everything we experience help to shape who we are too. Imagine how boring the world would be if we all looked exactly the same.
Oh, so right. So genetically, humanity doesn't divide neatly into a few boxes labelled with different races. Race is much more of a social idea that humans have made up to group people together.
Which leaves me with a pretty big question, Christy. If the science says that we're all so incredibly similar, why are human brains so determined to sort people into us and them?
Why?
Bryce, to understand why humans sort other humans into groups, we probably need to start with something that our brains are actually really good at, spotting patterns.
Aha! So, if I eat a red berry and spend the next 3 days feeling horribly sick, my brain might make a note. Red berries equal bad.
That's right, and that's useful.
And if I walk through the jungle and a tiger tries to eat me, my brain probably isn't going to carefully interview the next tiger I meet. Name, tiger, occupation, run!
Making quick connections and recognising possible dangers really can help keep us safe. And throughout human history, belonging to a group has been incredibly important too.
Yeah, humans have survived by working together, sharing food, protecting each other, caring for children, hunting and building communities. So being able to quickly work out who's part of your group and whether something unfamiliar might be a threat could be useful.
But there's a fairly big difference between a tiger and a person that you've met. Our brains spot patterns even when the pattern isn't fair or accurate.
I meet one rude person from a particular country and think, people from that country are rude.
Yeah, or you might hear a few stories about crimes committed by people from one cultural group and decide that that whole group is dangerous. That, Bryce, is what's called a stereotype. It's a general idea about a whole group of people. And stereotypes, they're kind of like brain shortcuts. They save us the effort of looking at every individual person and thinking more deeply, which, more than anything else, is just lazy.
Sure is. Handy for tigers, not so handy for humans. So, Christy, does that mean racism is just built into our brains?
No, it's not, and that's really important. Our brains might be quick to notice groups or patterns, but race isn't some simple ancient danger detector. The groups humans focus on and the ideas that we attach to those groups are also shaped by the society, stories, and the people around us.
In other words, our brains can sort, but we can make a decision about what boxes we use.
That's right. And one thing that can make those boxes feel even stronger is when people are afraid. Because when people are frightened or uncertain, they really want to know what's causing that problem and causing them to feel like that.
That's right. Say a disease is spreading, for example, or jobs are hard to find, or food becomes expensive, or there's a war on and some other big change. Complicated problems with complicated causes.
Yeah, but then someone offers a really simple answer. It's their fault. And there's a word for blaming a person or a group for a much bigger problem. It's called scapegoating.
Which, Christy, strangely enough, really does involve a real goat. The word scapegoating comes from an ancient ceremony where a goat symbolically carried away the wrongdoings of a community.
Right.
These days, a scapegoat is someone unfairly blamed for a problem. And history is full of groups of people or certain racial groups being turned into scapegoats.
Particularly when communities are scared, angry, or going through difficult times. And sometimes those fears, they don't just spread by themselves. Powerful people can deliberately turn them up by repeating that one group is dangerous,
Taking your jobs,
causing you problems.
or doesn't belong. And the more often people hear those ideas, the more familiar they can start to feel, even if they're not true. So maybe the big lesson is that our brains can make a quick judgment for all sorts of reasons. Pattern spotting, belonging, fear, something we've been told, but we're not stuck with the first thing that our brain serves up, happily enough.
Your first thought, it can arrive really quickly, but it doesn't have to be your final thought.
That's right, Christy. So, we've worked out why humans can fall into this kind of thinking. But how do those quick judgments become bigger patterns in the real world? And what can Australia's own history teach us about the way racism spreads?
How?
Well, Bryce, Australia's history gives us a pretty uncomfortable answer because again and again, we've seen quick judgments about groups of people repeated, shared, and eventually turned into a bigger pattern of racism.
And we should probably start with the people who were here long before Australia was even called Australia. The racism experienced by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples has its own long and devastating history, beginning with colonisation.
That's right, Bryce. First Nations peoples were treated as inferior and subjected to laws and policies that controlled where people could work and live, even removing children from their families.
But Australia also has a repeated pattern of becoming suspicious of whichever group of migrants seems newest at the time.
Yeah, Chinese migrants arrived during the gold rushes back in the 1800s, and they faced terrible racism and violence.
Yep. Then in 1901, the new Australian Parliament passed laws that became the basis of something called the White Australia Policy, designed to keep many non-European migrants out of the country. Which was ironic, really, because every single member of that new Australian Parliament was himself either a migrant or a descendant of one.
Then, after the Second World War, migrants from places including Italy and Greece, well, they were mocked for their accents, their names, and even their food.
Yep, and then later, refugees arriving from Vietnam and other parts of Southeast Asia were told that they were too different, or that they wouldn't fit in. Different group, familiar echo.
And that's one way racism can keep going. The group might change, but the same fears and stereotypes get repeated. Like, they're too different.
They don't belong.
They're dangerous.
They're causing our problems. Echo, echo, echo. Which brings us to something called an echo chamber. So, let's say, Christy, that I believe magpies are evil.
Oh, Bryce, why did you pick magpies?
Well, because one swooped me in 1997 and I have never forgotten.
Right.
So, I watch a YouTube video called Magpie Attacks Innocent Man. Then, I click on 10 terrifying magpie swoops, and then the next video that's given up to me is called Why Magpies Can't Be Trusted.
And the internet's recommendation algorithms, well, they notice what you're watching.
They certainly do. The algorithm robots notice that I like videos about angry magpies. And so, the robots serve up more angry magpie videos, because the robot wants to keep me watching or engaged.
Until pretty soon, Bryce's online world is wall-to-wall terrifying magpies.
But Christy, by that time, I will have seen hundreds of videos, and now I have evidence that they are evil.
But Bryce, how many videos have you watched of magpies quietly standing in parks?
Oh, you mean they make videos of that?
Well, not very exciting ones, but...
Fair.
And that's the danger of an echo chamber. You hear the same ideas bouncing around so often that they can start to feel obviously true.
Echo, echo, echo.
And echo chambers existed long before the internet. They can be your friends, your family, the people that you work with, the radio station that you listen to, the TikTok influencer that you follow. If everyone around you keeps saying, you know what those people are like,
and no one ever questions it. Echo, echo, echo. And today the internet can make that echo move much more quickly and be much louder and much more personalised. And racist ideas can spread the same way.
And here's the thing. Those groups we spoke about earlier, those groups of people who were once described as too different, the Chinese who worked the goldfields, the Italians or Greeks who arrived after the Second World War, the Vietnamese who came here in the 1970s, they became part of Australia.
That's right. They started businesses. They became doctors, scientists, teachers, artists, and athletes. They raised families, built communities. They even, as we've seen these past few weeks, grew up to play for Australia in the Soccer World Cup. I mean, just take a look at the Socceroos team and see how many wonderful different races and cultures are represented.
Yeah, and of course, when these people arrived, they brought food, music, languages, traditions and ideas that changed Australian life.
They sure did. I mean, imagine Australia without pasta, or souvlaki, or doner kebabs, or baklava.
Oh, or the dim sim, or sushi, or banh mi. Hardly worth living in, right?
Absolutely. Christy, you know what? This has suddenly become a very difficult shortcut to record before lunch.
It has. But the point is, Bryce, nearly half of Australians have at least one parent who was born overseas. So the people once labelled different, they don't just live in modern Australia, they helped make modern Australia.
That's right. And it makes you wonder whether, when you have the same old fears being spouted about a new group,
we should stop and recognise the echo.
Okay, but racism is a huge issue, Christy. It's been around for a very long time, and it's not just isolated to Australia. What can one kid listening to this podcast actually do?
Well, the good news is, Bryce, you don't have to solve racism by yourself.
Phew.
But you can interrupt it. Make the echoes wobble a little bit. If someone says, those people are all like that, ask a question. Are they all? How do you know? And if your own brain makes quick assumptions, because it can do, about somebody, you can pause. First thought, not necessarily the final thought.
That's right. Be curious about people rather than assuming you already know them. And if somebody makes a racist joke or comment and you feel safe to do so, you could say something like, "That's not funny." Or even just ask, "What do you mean by that?"
That's right, one good question can make an echo wobble. And if racism is happening to you, you don't have to stand there and give the other person a history lesson. You can walk away if you need to, tell a teacher, a parent, a coach, or another adult that you trust.
And sometimes challenging racism doesn't mean making a huge speech. It might mean noticing who's always left out, remembering someone's name, refusing to laugh at the joke, or making room at the table. Humans might be sorting machines, Christy. We notice patterns, we form groups, we have quick reactions, but we are also thinking machines.
As we've said, your first thought can arrive quickly, but it doesn't have to be your final thought.
Speaking of which, I've reconsidered my jellybean sorting system.
Oh, excellent!
Yep, I now have 2 groups.
Oh yeah? What are they?
Eaten and about to be eaten.
Time for the Squiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. What percentage of our DNA do all humans, no matter what race, colour or creed, have in common? Is it A, 50% of our DNA, B, 89% of our DNA in common, or C, 99.9% of our DNA? That's right, it's C. We have 99.9% of DNA in common.
Question number 2. Which animal is associated with the idea of placing blame on a person or a group for a much bigger problem? They are called a scapegoat. Is it A, a goat, B, a shark, or C, a mouse? Excellent work if you knew that the answer is a scapegoat.
Okay, question number 3, true or false? Social media algorithms are designed to make sure that we see lots of different people and are exposed to lots of different ideas and points of view. Well done if you understood that that statement is false.
Sure is. And Bryce, that's all we have time for today. Thank you for joining us as we explore the who, what, where, when, why and how of understanding racism.
Now get out there and have a most excellent day.
Over and out.